Hello everyone, welcome back to Code to Commerce. Today we will be diving into the world of three design patterns, namely visitor, interpreter and memento. You might think why we are covering all three patterns in one video. Let me tell you. These design patterns may seem disparate, but they actually share a very common thread. Just like the state and the strategy patterns focus on managing behavior, visitor, interpreter, and memento patterns all revolve around managing relationships and interaction between the objects. Each pattern addresses this in its own unique way, whether it's through traversing and manipulating object structures, interpreting and executing instructions, or capturing and restoring object states. So, despite their differences, they all center on orchestrating object interactions effectively. Now, let's start with the basics. What are these patterns? The visitor pattern allows you to add new operations to existing classes without modifying them. Interpreter pattern is used to define a grammar for interpreting sentences in any language. And memento pattern is all about capturing an object's internal state so that it can be restored later. Simple. But why do we need these patterns? So these patterns help us in various scenarios. Visitor makes it easy to add new behaviors to classes without changing the code. Interpreter simplifies language processing tasks, and memento ensures that an object's state can be restored. Now, let's talk about the real life applications. So, visitor pattern can be seen, for example, in a shopping mall where different customers visit different sections of the shop. Interpreter pattern can be compared to translating languages, and memento pattern is like saving and loading game progress. Now, let's see some code examples. So, here is the visitor pattern in action. We are adding new operations to existing classes. Let me explain. So, we have three sections of a mall: clothing section, electronics section, and books section. Each section has its own accept method which allows a visitor to visit it. I have also defined the mall visitor interface with methods visit with clothing section, visit with electronics section, and visit with book section. Also, there are visitors like concrete visitor which implements the mall visitor interface. Each method in concrete visitor represents the action taken by the visitor in each section. In the main method, I have created instances of each section and the concrete visitor. Also, I would like you to take some time to read and analyze the whole code by taking a pause at this video. Just understand the rationale behind the logic I have used in the visitor pattern. Now, after doing all of this, here is the output. Also, after explaining this, I would like you guys to look into how does this pattern follow the solid principles. Now, coming on to the interpreter pattern. It's pretty straightforward. If you see the example, it's simple that we are converting one language to the another. No need to explain much here. You may study solid principles for that. Just to give a brief, the example is following single responsibility principle. This is clearly visible because expression interface, work and context classes both has a single responsibility. Expression interface is only about defining the interpretation. Word class is responsible for interpreting a single word. Context class manages mapping between the words and their translations. New expressions, words or sentences can be added by creating new classes that implement the expression interface without modifying existing classes. And that's how it follows the open/closed principle. I would suggest again to go through all the solid principles in general to grasp more understanding. Now, we will see the implementation of the Memento pattern to capture and restore object states. As per the code, we see a text editor class with getter setters which can save and restore the text. From the client class, which is Memento pattern example, we can save the initial state. And now we have modified the text. But we still want to roll back to the previous state. And that's where the Memento pattern comes into picture to restore the initial state. That's it. Now, how it follows solid principles. Single responsibility principle is one of the solid principle. So, text editor class is responsible for managing the text content and providing the methods to save and restore the state. The second solid principle it follows is open/closed principle. So, the Memento pattern allows new states, which are the additional fields, to be added to the text editor class without modifying its existing methods. Now coming to the pros and the cons of each design pattern. In a nutshell, visitor pattern allows adding new operations easily, but it can make classes more complex. Interpreter pattern simplifies language processing, but it may lead to large number of classes. Memento pattern provides easy state restoration, but it can increase memory usage. And now that's a wrap. We have covered visitor, interpreter and Memento design patterns along with proper examples and their explanations with the code. Please subscribe, like, share and hit the bell icon to stay updated with the latest videos. See you in the next episode.